Oh, Elden Ring? Elden Ring's your favorite game ever? Elden Ring is literally peak fiction, bro? Really? I don't think so. I don't think so. In fact, this video is about my hot take on Elden Ring. Because, buddy, it is not. It is not. Hopefully this mic is on. Yeah, that's it. It is not the best FromSoft game. It's not even close. Sorry. It's not even close. Really, the best FromSoft game is Bloodborne. And if you haven't played it, you need to go play it. And I understand it's kind of, it hasn't been updated in 10 years and stuck on PS4 or whatever, but at 30 FPS and 1080p, but it's still the best game, and you should play it. That's my favorite. But really, I have a couple points written down here. I'm going to explain why I think Elden Ring is overrated. I think Elden Ring Night Rain is overrated. Nobody wants to freaking admit this because, let's face it, we all love FromSoft. We all love Miyazaki. And we don't want to admit that Lord Miyazaki is maybe a little bit too busy as a CEO and should probably be a game director instead of being CEO. But anyways, let's get into it. Let me give you a little background here first, actually. Here's the thing. I've been playing these games since I was 14 years old. And I am 26 now. So, I started with Dark Souls 2. Played Dark Souls 1. This was about 2014, yeah. And, man, I just fell in love with these games immediately. And even Dark Souls 2 being my first game, it was just like the most addicting game I'd ever played. There was nothing like it. I had so much fun feeling like I was overcoming real challenges, and I totally fell for the, hard games are better psyop. And it's a good psyop. I'm glad I was psyoped into that. But, yeah, and then I played Dark Souls 1, and I realized it was better. A better art direction, better feeling gameplay. And I was like, this is awesome. And I played them and played them and played them and replayed them a million times. Both of them. And then Bloodborne. Project Beast got announced. And oh my goodness, I was excited. It hadn't really fully developed yet, but I had always had a kind of love for horror, particularly gothic horror. And Bloodborne was just the perfect gothic horror game. Beyond that, actually, beyond my expectations, because it lured you in as just a werewolves and vampires game, but boy, did it turn into something else. This Lovecraftian horror stuff. Man, I got obsessed with Lovecraft after playing Bloodborne. But Bloodborne was big for a couple other reasons, too. It took a step forward. Okay? I want you to think about taking a step forward in video games. Sequels and I guess spiritual sequels, because all these FromSoft games, that's what they really are, spiritual sequels on top of each other. They should take a step forward. Now, Dark Souls 2, it was kind of made by the B team, I guess, is the story we were told about Dark Souls 2. I don't know what to believe. I don't really care. It clearly had less influence and love from Miyazaki, but it did try to do things a little different. One of those things was the dual wielding, and it took a few other steps forward. If you want to look into that, I mean, that's not what I'm really here to get into. To me, Dark Souls 2 was a step and a half backwards and one step forward, but Bloodborne was like 3 steps forward. Okay. The trick weapons were insane. So cool. Not just aesthetically cool, a cool concept in general. Tell me, have you ever seen anything like that in real life or in a video game at all? No. It was freaking awesome. Number 2, the combat. Okay, got rid of the rolling, at least while you're locked onto an enemy. I'm not going to explain that. The dashing felt better. It looked cooler. It was just better. And then you're way more aggressive because no more shields, technically, kind of. And no more thick boy armor. No more fat rolling. In fact, equipment load is gone. Don't even worry about it. Which is like, hooray. To me, I hated worrying about that in all the other games. It's just like, pick whatever armor you think looks coolest. And maybe just forget about its resistances because you're not even going to try and get hit. You're going to be killing them, chopping them up before they get you. Okay, that's the name of the game with Bloodborne. And they encourage that by creating what we called, or they called, I don't know who made it up, the rally system. So if you get hit, your health bar decreases. But you have a second or two to hit them and then doop, doop, close the gap, gain some of your health back by slicing them up and spraying their blood on you. And that was just awesome. So the gameplay went from being a big guy with armor and a shield to being a sick hunter with a trick weapon and a gun. I didn't even get to the guns yet. Guns. Okay, guns. At first, I think a lot of people were worried, like, oh my gosh, is this just Dark Souls with guns? They're just selling out. They're going to be like Call of Duty now. Guns are going to be OP. But guns weren't OP. They weren't OP. In fact, they're incredibly well balanced. And you could make them OP with a build, but to the average player, they weren't going to be that. They were just really a mechanism to parry and stagger opponents. Maybe you could pump it up, do the little damage, but unless you really made a dedicated build for it, the guns weren't going to be OP or kill the bosses. But it just changed the game so much. It was such a drastic step forward, and just a huge step forward. In everything, the graphics were unbelievable. To this day, I still think Bloodborne is the best looking game I've ever played. I still think, there we go. I still think, despite its graphics maybe not holding up against Elden Ring, it's by far the most aesthetically pleasing. And the story was the coolest to me. Everything about Bloodborne was the coolest, best game they've ever made. It's the GOAT. Now, think about that, all those step forwards we talked about. Now, moving on. Sekiro. We're going to kind of skip Dark Souls 3 because, well, it was a step forward for Dark Souls, but it wasn't a step forward for FromSoft, to be honest. Which is okay. It didn't need to be. We didn't really need anything crazy for Dark Souls 3. I don't think. I think Dark Souls 3 did what it did really well. It ended it, and that was awesome. Great aesthetics, great gameplay. I love the sword art stuff, but made a lot of improvements on quality of life stuff, but no real drastic step forwards. But that's okay because it's just Dark Souls 3. But Sekiro was huge. Whatever we thought was awesome about Bloodborne and so different and so drastic, Sekiro cranked that up. Now, Bloodborne is still my favorite game, but Sekiro went forward even more. Okay, the grappling hook, the wall climbing, like Assassin's Creed stuff, the trick arm thing, it was really cool. Not to mention, you don't need to worry about upgrading your freaking weapon at all during the game. You can just upgrade your guy and have fun. Go buck wild. Go slash stuff up. Go explore. And I thought that was great. Nothing pisses me off more in games than having to go look for stupid little items to upgrade my stuff. I hated that in Dark Souls 1 you had to upgrade your individual armor pieces too. Just to feel like you were perfectly optimized. Bloodborne, they made it so you didn't need to go find those stupid embers to be able to fully upgrade your equipment like the other Dark Souls games, but it still needed upgraded materials. Sekiro, none of that. Just good gameplay, good story, sick graphics, sick bosses, sick soundtrack, everything great. Again, not my favorite. Bloodborne is still my favorite, but huge step forward. It was something different. They actually did something different and new and cool. Now, Elden Ring comes along, and we're even more hyped. We're like, oh, it's going to be open world. Look at the freaking George Hard R. Martin is doing the freaking story and stuff. I mean, I was skeptical about that because I like Miyazaki's stories. Not that he didn't have a hand in it, but to me, I got the first hints of let's just make the biggest game that's going to appeal to the most people. That's what happens when you make your game that wasn't open world before, although technically Dark Souls 1 was open world. Make it open world, and we're going to get George Hard R. Martin on it. And it's going to be so sick and epic, and everyone's going to play it. And everyone did. I did. I wanted to play it like ASAP because it looked super cool. And it was super cool. I love Elden Ring. Like, if none of these other games existed and Elden Ring was the only one they made, after Kingsfield and all that, I would be playing Elden Ring. Elden Ring was really cool. It had a lot of really cool bosses. Horolo is still, like, top 3 bosses of all time for me. So cool. But to be honest, I didn't even beat it on my first playthrough. Elden Ring felt much more tedious and exhausting to play than the other Souls games. And I didn't really quite understand what that was for the first year it was out. I didn't understand why. I eventually did beat it, but it was after coming back to it after months. And then I tried to beat it again, made another build, and I just couldn't do it. Keep in mind, and I'll probably put a screenshot or something. The screenshot's going to show 350 something on my hours for Dark Souls 3, but that's not even including when I had a PS4 and I played it on there. Because that's what I played it on before I had a PC. Bloodborne included. All these other games I put so many hours into. I replayed them over and over and over. Replaying Elden Ring feels like a freaking chore. It feels like work. Okay, you got to watch some 40-minute long video about, starting over in Elden Ring, here's what you need to do to get your character up to speed or whatever. And then you got to run around all of the lands between, picking up these upgrade items, finding the freaking miner's bell bearings just so you can upgrade your crap. It's just exhausting. So that's one point. And I didn't really figure out what that was till recently, and I literally just made a list, and I was like, I'm gonna make a video about this. I'm gonna make a video about why I think Elden Ring was a step in the wrong direction. So, all right, here we go. Okay, I mentioned this a little bit, but the upgrade system is outdated. Nobody likes finding these little items, finding a little miner's bell bearing. Because every little thing that you pick up that you want to try out on the next boss has to be upgraded to. And if you want to fully upgrade it, you got to get the Titanite slab or whatever the equivalent of that is in Elden Ring. And I just hate doing that. I hate that crap because I want to try out different weapons, but you got to upgrade them. What is that bull crap? If you're going on a playthrough, your first playthrough of a game that's got 350 freaking weapons, you don't want to be having to be able to try it out, you got to upgrade it 4 times with items that you don't have. That's bullcrap to me. That's just bad game design. Okay, it limits the player on their agency of how they can play the game. To me, and oh my gosh, those freaking mines. This is really a separate point that I'll get into. The mines where you have to go get the bell bearings are the most annoying things. They're all just copy pasted garbage. All right. Yeah, that brings me right into my next bullet point, actually. The catacombs, castles, the mines where you have to get through them to get those bell bearings, and you have to go through catacombs if you want to upgrade your spirits. Oh yeah, your spirit summons need to be upgraded too. You got to go find the little glow root. And you got to go through those stupid catacombs to get it. But so many areas of this game are just totally copy pasted. They all are just like this blur of medieval fantasy that doesn't really look that good to me. Let me move on. It looks good, but nothing really stands out. Not the way it did for me in Bloodborne and Dark Souls. And maybe this is where we're in the realm now of my personal opinion. But it is a fact that the majority of the areas in Elden Ring are copy-pasted garbage. It's all the same. Every freaking castle looks the same to me. Every catacomb's the same. Every mine is the same. Every area around one of the smaller trees is pretty much the same. And it's just exhausting. I had no incentive or curiosity to step into another catacomb or mine after that point. Not to mention they're hard to find. So when you're looking up some video on like where to get this one specific item for your build, it's like, go to this catacomb here. They have to show you the most like specific part on the freaking map because you'll never find it yourself. They can't just say, oh, just go to that one part before the tree on the map. No, you'll never find that. This game is too big. And that brings me to my next point. The game is literally too big. And that might sound crazy because there's other open world games that I haven't played that are bigger than Elden Ring. But Elden Ring is literally too big. And so what they did was they took away the grappling hook and the wall climbing from Sekiro, and they replaced it with Torrent. Now, Torrent's cool, don't get me wrong, but Torrent is not there to be cool for the player. Torrent is there out of a necessity because it's too big. The game's too big, and it would take too long to just run everywhere. So they had to give you Torrent. And I get it, not every game needs a grappling hook, but I think the wall climbing stuff would have been cool. The rock climbing, wall climbing. And it's not even the fact that, I want a grappling hook so bad in Elden Ring. It's just the fact that they took those things away and they replaced it with something worse. Riding a horse? Nobody asked for that. Yeah, it's just too big. It's too exhausting to explore because every area is not really that unique in Elden Ring. But it takes so long to get there, and there's so many big open fields. Literally, the DLC starts with another huge open field, and I was just like, oh, brother. Oh, brother. Yeah, really, to me, the movement, it was really just Dark Souls 4. It was like, Dark Souls, but you can move around your weapon arts, your sword arts, whatever. And we'll call them Ashes of War now. And you got a horse, and you can jump and dual wield. Cool. No thanks. I'm sorry, but we had 3 Dark Souls. They were amazing. I want something new and crazy like Bloodborne. I want something new and different like Sekiro. I'm holding out hope for Dustbloods, but I don't have a ton of hope. I'll still play it. Like I said, if Elden Ring was the only one out, I'd play it. And that brings me also to another point at Night Rain. Night Rain is it. Okay, they added back the wall climbing, but Elden Ring is just more recycled crap. And I get it. FromSoft is smart. They are smart to reuse and recycle assets or rigs for their characters in games, but only if it facilitates them being able to spend more time in other areas and make a better game, which I believe is what they've mostly done. Because they make super quality games, and it's because they don't have to work from the ground up every single time. They're like, hey, we got a really good formula here. Let's use that, crank out another really good game with different mechanics. But I hate to be negative about Elden Ring, but I feel like nobody else wants to admit that Elden Ring is really not as good as the other games. And I love these games so much, and I love Miyazaki so much that I don't want to see them go in this direction ever again. Side note, honorable mention for things I hate about Elden Ring. Every build to do anything in the game and feel like you're competing in PvP or killing bosses in a slightly optimal way, there's like 40 things you have to worry about. This item and this spell, and you cast this spell to activate that spell, and then when that spell's activated, you buff your weapon, and then you have maximum damage for this type of build, and you have to spend 6 hours finding all of these spells and weapons to be able to create the optimized build. And you feel, if you just want to do like a regular build, you feel like you're doing no damage. You feel like it's an unoptimized build to just do like a regular quality build or strength build. Not terribly, but... And this really started with Dark Souls 3, spending 5 minutes before the PvP match doing buffs, or before the boss fog doing buffs. I hate that crap. I really hate that crap. It should be more simple. Dark Souls 1 had one buff, really. It was Power Within. To feel like in order to play the game and compete with other players, I have to have 6 buffs, and I have to do them in the right order too, and worry about all that crap. No thanks. That's annoying. I'm just really hoping Dustbloods does something different. It's got Bloodborne vibes, so I am more hopeful than not. But we'll see. Guys, let me know what you think. Am I the only freak who really doesn't like Elden Ring? Like, I don't want to play it anymore. If I'm going to sit down and play a Souls game, I'm going to play Dark Souls 1 or Bloodborne or Dark Souls 3 probably, Sekiro. But I'm not playing Elden Ring anymore. I'm just not. Anyways, that's all I wanted to talk about. I'm very curious to hear what you guys think. Let me know in the comments.